welcome back to another Algebra 1 lesson. Today we are doing 5.2. So if you will turn in your journals to page 128, we're going to start on page 128. Okay, so we'll start here. We are going to be solving a system of linear equations by substitution. There's three ways to solve systems of linear equation. One is by graphing, which we did yesterday. Two is by substitution, which we'll learn today. And three is by elimination, which we will go into tomorrow. Graphing, substitution, elimination. Today we're dealing with substitution. So if you join me on page 128, we're going to check these out. So if you remember, the solution to a set of linear equations is the point where they cross. The solution to a set of linear equations is the point where they cross. Now, when we're doing substitution, it's going to be actually a fair bit of work. So I want you guys to be as organized as possible. So if we're here and we're looking at 4a, we have two equations, x plus 2y equals negative 7, and 2x minus y equals negative 9. I'm using a separate sheet of paper because there's no way I can get all the work in here. So I'm going to show you solving an equation by substitution. What I need to do when I substitute something in is I need to solve for either x or y. I need to solve for either x or y. And I'm going to pick the one that's the easiest to solve for. So right here we have x by itself. So what I'm going to do with this equation, x plus 2y equals negative 7, is I'm going to solve for x. And solving for x just means making x independent, right? Getting x by itself. So I now have x equals negative 2y minus 7. Okay? So I just solve for x. X equals this. Now, when it says solve for substitution, what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute this for x in my other equation. So I'm going to substitute, and I'm going to plug this in right here for x. This whole thing, because that's what x equals, right? X equals this. So wherever I see an x, I can plug in this. So let's do that. 2 times this, negative 2y minus 7, minus y equals negative 9. So now if you notice, all I have is one variable. Y is my only variable in here. So let's solve. So I distribute. So I have negative 4y minus 14 minus y equals negative 9. I'll combine my like terms. Negative 4y and negative y equals negative 5y minus 14 equals negative 9. Add 14 to both sides, and I get, what's 14 and 9? That's 5, positive 5. And I have negative 5y equals 5. Finish my equation by dividing both sides by negative 5, and I get y equals negative 1. One of my answers is y equals negative 1. Now I need to find my x point, so I have to plug this y into either this equation or this equation. And I think I'm going to go with this equation because I have my x is simple here, so I'm going to have, so if I rewrite this equation, x plus 2y equals negative 7, and I plug this y in right there. X plus 2 times negative 1 equals negative 7. So x, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, equals negative 7. So I add 2, and I get x equals negative 5. So the point where these two lines intersect is at negative 5, negative 1. So negative 5, negative 1. Now, the way that I check is if I put these 2 points into either of these equations, I'll get a true statement. So let's plug it into this one. So let's do, we'll say check right here. Check. So x plus 2y equals negative 7. So here's my x. So negative 5 plus 2 times negative 1 equals negative 7. Negative 5 minus 2 equals negative 7. Negative 7 equals negative 7. Okay, so that point checks out for that line. Now let's check out our second line. 2x minus y equals negative 9. 2x minus y equals negative 9. And now I plug in my points. 2 times negative 5 minus a negative 1 equals negative 9. 2 times negative 5, that's negative 10. Minus a negative, so that's plus 1, equals negative 9. Negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9 equals negative 9. Check. Check. So that's our answer. Look at all that work for one problem. So I'm going to ask that you use at least a half a page per problem. At least a half a page per problem. Because it can easily get mixed up. Your work can easily get mixed up in all that mess. So there's our answer for number 4A. Where our two lines cross, the point where they cross is at negative 5, 1. Negative 5, negative 1, excuse me. Okay. Let's do... Actually, let's do it for the example because we're going to be going over all the examples in the homework. So let's look, first of all, at your vocabulary. So if you look here on page 129, you have a system of linear equations. Hopefully you remember from yesterday, or our last 5.1, that a system of linear equations is simply two or more linear equations. Two or more linear equations. And the solution of a system of linear equations is a solution that solves all equations in the system. Or if a simpler answer is where all equations lines meet. And this can be solved by graphing, substitution, or elimination. Okay? And here are the steps to solving a system of linear equations by substitution. Solve one of the equations for one of the variables. So if you remember, the very first thing I did was I solved for x. So number one, solve one of the equations for one of the variables. Here we go. I solved for x. Number two, substitute the expression from step one. Substitute the expression from step one into the other equation, into this equation. So there it is. I substituted it into the other equation. And then substitute the value from step 2 into one of the original equations. So I got this answer, y equals -1, and I substituted it into one of the original equations. So that's step 1, 2, and 3, and how to do it. Now, if you'll turn with me to page 130, we will start going over the odds, and you'll be required to have the odds and the evens. Again, too much work, way too much work to fit right here. They didn't give us hardly enough space. So, number 1, 2x plus 2y equals 10, and y equals 5 plus x. Well, look at that. It already solved y right here. It solved y, so I'm just going to plug this right into there. So if I have 2x plus 2 times this y, which is 5 plus x, equals 10. Alright. Don't forget to pause the equation when you need it paused to catch up or to understand something. I will also put a link to Khan Academy into this module if you want a further explanation. He's much more articulate about math than I am. So, first up, distributive property, 2x plus 10 plus 2x equals 10. Combine my like terms, I have 4x plus 10 equals 10, minus 10, minus 10, 4x equals 0. Divide by 4, x equals 0. Now I plug this back into either one of these equations. I think it might be easier to plug it into this equation. So I have y equals 5 plus x. That's that equation. If I plug in my 0 for x, y equals 5 plus 0, y equals 5. So my answer is 0, 5. Now I'm going to check it really fast by plugging it into both of these. 2x plus 2y equals 10. So 2x, 2 times 0, plus 2 times 5 equals 10. 0 plus 10 equals 10. 10 equals 10. Checks out. My second equation is y equals 5 plus x. Let's plug in my y value. 5 equals 5 plus 0. 5 equals 5. They both check out. That's my answer for number 1. Alright, let's check out number 3. For number 3, x minus 3y equals -1, and x equals y. Oh, yeah. Might throw some people off, but it's actually quite nice that x equals y. So, I'm going to plug in the y wherever there's an x. So I'm going to plug this in. So I have y minus 3y equals -1. 1y minus 3y is -2y equals -1. Divide by -2. Divide by -2, I have y equals 1/2. Fraction. Oh, bummer. But that's alright. We'll figure this out. So now I plug, I look at this. Y equals x. Or x equals y. X equals 1/2. There it is. Easier than it looked, but let's check and let's make sure I did it correctly. So we're going to check, and I have x minus 3y equals -1. So 1/2 minus 3 times 1/2 equals -1. So 1/2 minus 3 times 1/2. So what's 3 times 0.5, 0.5, 0.5? That would be 1.5. Or 3 minus 3/2 equals -1. 1/2 minus 3/2 is -2/2 equals -1. -2/2 is -1. Hey, so that one checks out. And then our other equation is x equals y. Well, x is 1/2. Y is 1/2. So that checks out also. So there it is. My answer is x 1/2 and y 1/2. Might have looked a little intimidating at the beginning, but it was A-okay. Let's go down and do number 5. So we have number 5 is 2x plus y equals 3. X equals 3y plus 5. So if you're able to, it's kind of fun to look at these as kind of riddles. I enjoy them when I look at them as riddles. Look, they already solved x for us. X equals 3y plus 5. So we can just plug this in where the x value is. So I have 2x plus y equals 3. Plug it in for the x. So 2 times 3y plus 5 plus y. Don't forget that y equals 3. Use distributive property. I have 6y plus 10 plus y equals 3. So I have 7y plus 10 equals 3. Minus 10, minus 10. I have 7y equals -7. Divide by 7, divide by 7, and y equals -1. Okay, there's one of my answers. Now I'm going to plug the y into whichever one I think is easier. It really doesn't matter, but I'll choose this one. So 2x plus y equals 3. I plug this y into here, so I have 2x plus -1 equals 3. Well, plus a negative is -1. So 2x minus 1 equals 3. Add 1 on both sides. I get 2x equals 4. Divide by 2. And x equals 2. So there's my answer. My answer is 2, -1. Go over here to check. And I have 2x plus y equals 3. That's my original equation. One of my original equations. So I plug in my 2. So 2 times 2 plus y, which is -1, equals 3. 4 minus 1 equals 3. 3 equals 3. That checks out. Now I take my next equation. I have x equals 3y plus 5. So my x is 2. Equals 3 times -1 plus 5. 2 equals -3 plus 5. -3 plus 5 is 2. Man, this is great. Checks out. Each time it checks out. All right. Let's check out number 7. We have y equals 2x plus 8. Y equals -2x. This is nice. Once again, they give us one where we have our y's solved. This one's easier, so I'm going to plug this one into here. So I have y equals 2x plus 8, and then I plug this in for y. So -2x equals 2x plus 8. Subtract my 2x. So I get negative 4x equals 8. Divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. X equals negative 2. Okay? Now I'm going to plug this back into here. So y equals negative 2x. Plug this in for x. Y equals negative 2 times negative 2. Y equals 4. So my answer is negative 2, 4. But I'm going to want to check. Y equals 2x plus 8. So I plug these in. So 4 equals 2 times negative 2 plus 8. 4 equals negative 4 plus 8. 4 equals 4. Check. My other equation is y equals negative 2x. So I have 4 equals negative 2 times negative 2. 4 equals 4. Check. Number 7. Good to go. Next one. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9. 2x minus 3y equals 0. Y equals 4. Oh, yay! They're giving us an even easier one. So I'm just going to plug this right in here. So I have 2x minus 3y equals 0. And I just plug this in wherever there's a y. 2x minus 3 times 4 equals 0. 2x minus 12 equals 0. Add 12 to both sides, and I get 2x equals 12. Divide by 2, x equals 6. Now I'm going to plug that x. The only one I can plug it into is this first equation. So I have 2x minus 3y equals 0. So I plug this in. 2 times 6 minus 3y equals 0. 12 minus 3y equals 0. Minus 12. Negative 3y equals negative 12. Divide by negative 3 on both sides, and y equals 4. So I have 6, 4. And now I can check. 2x minus 3y equals 0. So I plug in the 6 for the x. 2 times 6 minus 3 times 4 equals 0. 12 minus 12 equals 0. 0 equals 0. Check. My other equation is y equals 4. Oh, well, would you look at that? That's what y equals. So y is 4, so 4 equals 4. Oops. Check. There it is. 6, 4. All right. Number 11. Ooh, refraction. Let's do it. Y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 9. All right. Fractions. If there's one thing I hope for you guys this year, it's that fractions cease to scare you. So, it's already solved for y in both of these equations. So I'm just going to take this equation and plug it in for y. So I'll initially write my first equation, and then I'm going to plug this in for y. So I have negative 1/2 x plus 9 equals 1/2 x plus 1. So I'm going to move around, so I have all my x's on one side. So I'm going to add 1/2 x, add 1/2 x, I get 9 equals 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1, x plus 1. Minus 1, minus 1, I get 8 equals 1x, which is x. X equals 8. So now I'm going to plug this in. I think I'm going to plug it into the positive one, so I don't have to deal with negatives. Y equals 1/2 x plus 1. So I plug this x right here. Y equals 1/2 times 8 plus 1. So 1/2 times 8 is 8 halves. 8 halves, or 8 divided by 2 is 4. Y equals 5. So I now have 8, 5. Let's make sure that's right. Y equals 1/2 x plus 1. So y, so 5 equals 1/2 of 8 plus 1. So 1/2 of 8 is 4. 5 equals 5. That checks out. How about another one? Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 9. So y is 5. 5 equals negative 1/2 x, which is 8, plus 9. 5 equals, so 1/2 of 8 is 4, times a negative, negative 4 plus 9. 5 equals 5. So that checks out also. Ding, 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 ding. This is great. All right. Let's do another one. We just want a lot of repetition so that these become easier for us. Number 13, 7x minus 4y equals 8. 5x minus y equals 2. Okay, so here we go. This is like our very first example. Neither of these are solved for x or y, so we have to solve one of these. And since this has 7x and a 4y, this has 5x and a 1y, I want to solve for this one. So 5x minus y equals 2. So I think, since that's a negative, I'm just going to go ahead and add it since I want a positive y. So 5x equals 2 plus y. And I want to subtract the 2. I want to have 5x minus 2 equals y. So now I solved for y. And now I could plug this into the y value of my other equation. So I have 7x minus 4y equals 8. And then I plug this in for the y. 7x minus 4 times 5x minus 2 equals 8. I distribute my 4, so I have 7x minus 20x plus 8 equals 8. So that gives me a negative 13x plus 8 equals 8, minus 8 on both sides. So I get negative 13x equals 0. Divide by negative 13, x equals 0. So I'm going to plug this x equals 0. I think I'm going to plug it into here because this one looks easier. So I'm going to go 5x minus y equals 2. So I plug this into here. 5 times 0 minus y equals 2. So I have 0 minus y equals 2. Oh, but I can't have a negative y. So negative y equals 2. So I have to multiply both sides by a negative 1. So I get y equals negative 2. Now be really careful with that because let's check and make sure this is right. So I have 0, negative 2. Before I lecture you about how you have to make sure to do that, let's just make sure this is correct. So 7 times 0 minus 4 times negative 2 equals 8. So 0 plus 8 equals 8. 8 equals 8. That one checks out. What about the other one? 5x minus y equals 2. 5 times 0 minus a negative 2 equals 2. 5 times 0 is 0. Negative and negative is positive. 2 equals 2. That checks out. So, that is our answer. And so that's what I want to make sure you recognize, is that you can't have a negative y. If you were to plug in a 2, you wouldn't get the correct answers. All right. Number 15. Number 15. We have 3x minus 4y equals negative 1. 5x plus 2y equals 7. Okay. Sweet. Now I don't have either neither of them are a variable by itself. Neither of them are a variable by itself, so I have to solve. So I think I'm going to take this one and solve for this one. 3x minus 4y equals negative 1. Wow, we're going to get fractions either way. Unfortunate, but what can you do? Minus 3x minus 3x. So I have negative 4y equals negative 1 minus 3x. Divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. So I have y equals 1/4 minus 3/4 x. Why, for their first problem, would they give you fractions like this? I'm going to have to say that is dumb. D-U-M-B. Now I've solved for y, so I plug this back into here. So I have 5x plus 2y equals 7. So plug this into here. 5x plus 2 times 1/4 minus 3/4 x equals 7. Distribute. 5x plus 2/4 minus 6/4 x equals 7. Combine our like terms. We have our like terms right here. So I'm going to multiply this by 4 over 4. So I get 20x over 4 minus the 6x over 4. So I get 14x over 4 plus 2/4 equals 7. Then I subtract 2/4, which is also 1/2. So I end up getting 14/4 x equals 1/2. 7 minus 1/2 is 6.5. 6 1/2. Multiply this side by 4/14. Oh, you know what? I should keep this in a 6 times 2 is 12, so this will be 13 halves. I'm going to keep it in a fraction. Times 4/14, so those cancel out. So I have x equals 13 times 4 is 12, 1, 4, 5, 52 over 28. I can simplify that to 26 over 14, which can be simplified to divide both sides by 2, 13/7. Ooh. Golly, that one's getting tough. Okay. Something is not going right here. So scratch number 15. Forget number 15. And it's time for me to go to morning meeting, so I will pick up with 15 in the class. All right, sorry about that. Sorry I finished on the last one with getting it incorrect. But we will solve that problem, and we will get this substitution dialed.